I posted a video saying that I got $100,000 worth of plastic surgery done in South Korea. And a lot of people are really wondering how much I paid for this.
Hey y'all, so I'm making a video of my BBL price now. This is for the people who genuinely want to know.
So I keep getting asked about the cost of my mommy makeover in Mexico, and I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys like a full breakdown.
Can we talk about how fucking crazy it is that if you go for a facelift in New York City at one of the top, really reputable plastic surgeons, the prices are anywhere from like 120 to 300,000 US dollars.
Everyone keeps talking about plastic surgery like it's a quick makeover. Just book a BBL, just get a tummy tuck, oh, just get a lipo 360. But no one is talking about the real price. And I'm not just talking about the money on the flyer, I mean the aftercare, the pain, the time off work, the surprise bills, the maintenance, the complications, just like we've seen in some of the videos I did about BBL, liposuction, or tummy tuck. All the things surgeons skip when they're trying to get you to schedule a consultation. Before you let TikTok or Instagram convince you that surgery is a cute little glow up, let's talk about the real cost of plastic surgeries. And we're going to be hearing these prices from people that have undergone these surgeries. We're going to be looking at BBLs, we're going to be looking at tummy tucks, we're going to be looking at lipo 360 or liposuction, however way you want to call it. We're going to be looking at facelifts, basically plastic surgery in general, because the prices are insane. The hidden fees are worse, and most of y'all are only seeing the results, not the reality. Now, I'm not telling anybody not to get plastic surgery. I'm just saying social media makes it look really, really affordable, and the reality is 10 times more expensive than the actual surgery. Now, without wasting too much time, let's quickly get right into these videos where women shared how much they spent to get these surgeries done.
So I keep getting asked about the cost of my mommy makeover in Mexico, and I wanted to go ahead and just give you guys like a full breakdown of what I spent. My original quote was $14,500, which included the tummy tuck with muscle repair, breast lift with the implants, lipo 360, and a BBL. That price also included 2 fajas, foam, and lymphatic massages. If you pay half of it in cash, you get a $1,000 discount. So that is what I did. So my total ended up being $13,500. To lock in your surgery date, you do need to pay a $1,000 deposit. And I also requested to do a Zoom consultation, which cost $60, and the $1,000 and the $60 that I paid went towards my surgery. So for travel, I flew into San Diego. I got picked up by my driver, which they recommended him, and he handled everything. So he picked me up from the airport. He took me to my hotel. He picked me up on my surgery day to take me to the hospital, and he took me back to the airport when I was ready to go back home. And for my driver, that was a total of $235. I stayed at the Quartz Hotel, which is really convenient because it's located walking distance to my doctor's office. And that was $175 per night. I stayed for 2 nights. And then I stayed at the Zen Recovery House after my surgery, and that's $200 per night. And that includes all your meals and snacks. You get 3 meals a day with 2 snacks, and their private rooms, which was a bonus for me because I was planning on trying to work remotely and I didn't want to bother anyone if I had like a roommate. And just wanted to throw this in there. I did look into a couple of recovery houses, and not all of them allow a companion. And Zen did. And I think it's an additional like $70 per night if you have a guest with you. So I booked my recovery house for 10 days, which ended up being $2,000. I really didn't need that much time. I ended up leaving early. So if I were to do it again, I would book for less days. The recovery house also did add a couple of small charges to me at the end, which I just wasn't expecting. It wasn't anything crazy, but They charged me for laundry, and I think it was like $5 per load of laundry that I did, or that the girls did for me. And then they charged me for my rides to my doctor's office for my lymphatic massages, and I think that those were like $10 each. And I went 4 times to my doctor's office, so nothing crazy, but I wasn't expecting more charges at the end. Overall, I am really happy with my experience, and I would absolutely do it all over again.
Wow. Well, that's how much she spent for hers. Let's quickly get right into the next video.
So the total cost of my surgery was $11,500. I got a BBL, which included liposuction to my abdomen, waist, lower back, and then fat transfer to my hips and butt. I also chose to add on arm lipo and chin lipo. I had actually initially gone in for a consultation just for arm and chin lipo, but then decided that the BBL with both of those was the best fit for what I was going for, and figured if I was going to have surgery at all, then I should kind of take on everything at once and just kind of do it all in one sitting. And actually made sense with the price, because typically a huge part of that surgical pricing is the anesthesia and stuff like that. So total was $11,500. I know it does vary a lot by city and doctor experience. And so take that into consideration. Of all the research I did, that was definitely on the more affordable side while still going to an extremely qualified, experienced doctor. So it worked out really well for me.
I don't know, guys, but doing all this surgery she just mentioned at once seems like it was a lot. But I mean, she's recovering well. Looks like it.
I'm getting plastic surgery in Mexico. Let's talk numbers, because I know everybody has been asking me how much this is going to cost for me to get my mommy makeover in Tijuana. In the US, a mommy makeover can cost anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000. Here's my quick breakdown. Extended tummy tuck, $3,200. Breast lift without implants, $1,550. Breast lift with implants, you can add an extra $900. Lipo with fat grafting into the buttocks, $1,550. And then hospital stay, postoperative care, medications, and anesthesia are all included in the total package. My total cost for everything is $12,695, which compared to the US is literally half the price. And the best part is that includes pickup and drop off to San Diego International Airport, a hospital stay for 6 nights with 24/7 nursing staff, and if you do want a companion to come with you, that is all included in the price.
So far, so good. This money are in thousands, guys. And I'm not even shocked. It's around how I pictured the prices to be, but I'm just like, all this money. But anyway, guys, let's keep watching.
Can we talk about how fucking crazy it is that if you go for a facelift in New York City at one of the top, really reputable plastic surgeons, the prices are anywhere from like 120 to 300,000 US dollars. And I know you're like, oh no, it's impossible. Tijuana is 20. It can't be 150, 180, 240, like whatever in Manhattan. But it is. Like the doctor who did Kris Jenner, 300,000. That's top of the scale. The top guy in the city for nose jobs, we're talking anywhere from $50,000 to $75,000. Tummy tucks with a guy who, I'm not even going to name his name because he's lovely and his practice is nice. But he's kind of the 3rd or 4th choice in Manhattan right now, maybe 5th choice, and he's charging $75,000 just for the tummy tuck. And a few months ago, I talked about how you can get really cheap plastic surgery at a place called Neath in New York City. They're not even accepting new people. All the prices went up. Everything is through the roof now. And yeah, I got a lot of hate messages saying I ruined it for everyone, so I'm sorry. I don't think I did. Anyway, where are you in the world, and can you tell me the prices for the procedures? Because it is my belief that New York is in a very weird, very distinct bubble, because it cannot be like this in every other city.
Now that's a lot of money for a facelift. I mean, the money that people are putting into these. Anyway, guys, I don't even know what to say. Let's just keep going.
At my bum, so my surgery is costing 10,000 and something euros, which is equivalent to 22,000 NZ dollar. People want to hate on me for getting my body done, but I really don't care. I'm getting full mummy makeover, so that includes new boobies, boob lift, implants. I'm getting a tummy tuck to take off my stomach. I'm getting liposuction to shuck me in, and then I'm getting a big bunda. I always have this like little pouchy bit, and I'm fucking over it. I'm gonna get it chopped off. These boobies, my boobs, they've always been like one, or most females are like, one is like slightly bigger than the other, and they sit down here now. I want them like up here, just like, you know. I play a lot of sport, so, well, I used to play a lot of sport. I want to still play sport, so I don't want to get like too big, anything. I mainly want the lift bit, you know, nice. I don't have to wear a bra.
Okay.
So before I tell you what I paid for my surgery or what I think I paid, I'm going to also give you some tips after that on how I think you can get the price a little lower if it helps. So what all did I have done? I had total body reconstructive surgery. I had 360 lipo, that's across the whole midsection of the body, front and back. I had a Brazilian butt lift, which they take the fat from the 360 lipo, they transfer it to the butt. You know how that goes. I had arm liposuction, I had chin liposuction, and I had thigh liposuction. My surgery was done in January 2025. My procedure total that I was given was $5,220. Okay? Side note, I wrote a 40-page ebook that can help you with all of this, and I've actually detailed it in my ebook. Let me just go ahead and show you this page real quick. Okay? So, let's talk about it. My 360 lipo with the BBL was $4,000. Okay? My arm liposuction was free because I got it on a promo. And then they charged me $600 for my thigh liposuction, $500 for the chin liposuction, and then I had to pay for the garments also. So the little bit of extra cost comes up to the chin garment was $60, the arm garment was $60, and then I got one free surgical faja, surgical garment for the procedure. That's how my total got to $5,220. I didn't know what else there was. I didn't know if possibly, you know, I was like, yeah, no, I'll throw another $1,000 in there for my trip because I've paid everything. Wrong. That's so wrong. You got a lot more to pay. Because the facility told me that they offer massages. They were around, I want to say, $80 for about a 45-minute massage. I spent about $240 with the facility for massages. When I came out of the massage, they told me that then I needed to get a BBL pillow, which was around about $125. The pillow is absolutely amazing. I would recommend it any day. They have a great pillow. I do not recommend the one that you find on Amazon or the one that was available on Amazon for the last 4 months. After the massages, the fluid would go down, and then I would need to go down a size in my faja. So almost after every massage, I had to size down into a new faja. So I ended up buying an additional 2 fajas, which was about $300. They're about $150 each. Now let's step back from the surgery center. My Amazon purchases while I was at home for this surgery were around $1,200, okay? This included things like my zero gravity chair, which I turned into my BBL chair, arnica gel, my drainage pads, my socks, my surgical socks, any additional pillows that I put on my bed, my boards, my phone. Then when I got back home, I had to have more lymphatic drainage massages. I want to say I spent about $360 on those. I bought a package, okay? You will probably need more than that to budget for that. Now, I also bought quite a few more surgical garments when I got home. My faja, I actually like the faja that I had so much that I received from the surgery center that I went on to Google and I found that it's called faja steak, and I actually love them so much that I continue to purchase from them. The faja, that same exact faja in the surgery center was about $150. When I bought it directly from them, it was about $120. I made sure I had 2 fajas in every size that I could swap out. I mean, you're not really leaving the house, you're not really going anywhere. So I probably switched out of my faja about every 3 days. And then that allowed me to wash the other one and just keep moving. Early in the game, when you don't have any more drainage and you're not working out yet, I kept about 2 fajas a week. My Airbnb for traveling to Miami, I was there for 10 days. I spent $1,700 on that. The purchases that I made while I was in Miami, they kind of, I want to say they totaled up to be about $350. That's going to include my grocery purchases and my pharmacy purchases for my medication. My Ubers while I was there to get to and from the grocery stores and the pharmacy and the surgical center was about $520 for those 10 days. Okay. Now my flights. I paid for 2 tickets because I did pay for my sister who I asked to go with me. I paid for economy class tickets on the way there. And then on the way back, I paid for first class tickets because I wanted to make sure that I was comfortable. My total for both of those tickets were about $1,400. I did fly American. Now, this total is a rough estimate of the money that I spent. This is a minimum. This is a minimum of what I paid for a $5,220 procedure was $10,245. Okay, so that's double. That's a minimum of what I can track.
So she just said it herself. For a $5,000 surgery, she spent double. So these are the hidden charges I'm talking about.
All right. So I did not expect this post to get that much engagement, but y'all have a lot of questions, and I'm more than happy to answer as many of them as I can. So I guess I'll start with this one with how much it cost, as well as a little bit of a pre-op information, since I saw a lot of questions about that too. I do want to start off by saying I love Mia Aesthetics. They always have great deals and great specials. I've never had a problem with Mia, so I know there are some bad reviews and good reviews, but that's anywhere that you go. But I'm going to start off by saying I had no issues with Mia. Let's start with pre-op. So pre-op was scheduled for 3 p.m. that day originally, but I came in the office straight off the road, which was a 4-hour drive for me. So I got there about 10:30. They were more than happy to see me early. So I waited in the waiting room for about 20 minutes, not long at all, before I got called to the back. Once I got called to the back, it was really quick, just taking vitals, taking weight, going over post-op instructions, any questions that I might have, this is just within major. It took about 15 minutes. And then after that is when you go to the front desk. If you have not paid your total already, you'll go to the front desk and pay an exact cash of how much you owe. So let's get into the cost. All right, so I'm about to show a picture of the invoice. Okay, so as you can see, I got Lipo 360 only, which is 12 areas. At the time, there was a sale. So the sale was $1,500 off, which was a total of $3,600 with Dr. Ziakas. Each doctor has different specials. So it's $3,600. In 12 areas, that is your abdomen, that is your flanks, and that is your back from your bra line down. It's not your whole back. It's from where your bra is down to your waist. It's your flanks and your stomach, nothing else. So I got that, and then also I added additional lipo areas. Normally, any additional area is $800 for each area, but I added 2 areas, which was 50% off, so $800 total. That area that I added was my auxiliary, which is my breast tissue under my armpit that would sit out like this, and that area is still very swollen. So I'm just compressing it and being patient and giving it time to see some results. A lipo sleeve jacket, which I got 50% off as well, $25. That's to compress my armpits. And then lastly is the stage 1 garment, which from them is $120. That is the garment that you wake up in after surgery.
Granted, the prices vary from person to person, but I don't know, all these specials that they're offering, I'm raising an eyebrow for that one.
Okay, y'all, so everybody has been asking me, how much does it cost? How much does it cost? I'm going to break it down to y'all, how much it actually costs for the procedure that I got done and all the expenses, okay? So right now, my doctor that I went to was Dr. Triggs at Vixen Plastic Surgery. For Lipo 360, which is what I got, he usually charges $4,000. But right now he's doing a special, and his special is only till October 31st. And that for just Lipo 360 is $3,000. So lock it in, ladies. You can lock that deal in right now. As long as you go and put your deposit down of $250, you can lock it in. Okay, so flight, and this is for 3 people, so yours could be cheaper. But for me, my daughter, and my boyfriend, it cost us $13.75, and that was a round trip. The extra stuff that I paid for was like the medication, not the medication, the Tylenol, the argan oil, the arnica oil, all that stuff, the foam boards and stuff, that cost for extra $400. My faja from Vixen Plastic Surgery was included. But most likely you would have to pay for that. And that is $100. Okay. At where I went to, Vixen Plastic Surgery. Other places is more. But outside of that, you're going to have to buy at least 2 more fajas, and they're $180 a piece. So that's $360 for just 2 fajas. A hotel, which was for 5 days. Everybody's price range is different, but of course we went to Miami. For 5 days, it was $900 plus. I'm not too sure on price, but it was $900 plus. Food, from the time that we got down there, mind you guys, we've been down there way longer than that. We came down, I believe, like on the 3rd or something like that. But for food from my surgery till when we left was around $800. Luggage, we paid $30, and we flew with, what is that, United? So it's $30, I believe. So, or 30, 50, and 60, something like that. So $200, flying there and flying back. Rental for 5 days, we had a truck because, we just wanted to be comfortable. And if you get a BBL, of course, you're gonna need a truck. But our rental was $700 for 5 days. Massages, you're going to need at least 10. 10 is going to cost you $1,000 or better, depending on where or who you get your massages with. Everybody's price range is different. And then, 20 massages. So, but for me, it was 1,800 so far. It might be a little less, but I'm just rounding it up. Medication, and this is for your your Percocets, your nausea, and your antibiotics, which was $400. Labs, which include your blood work, and for my doctor, he does like sickle cell testing and all different types of testing. That was $450. And the clinic, you got to get medical clearance, which is also EKG. $136. So if I'm missing anything or if I didn't name anything, I'm sorry. But for my total was $11,601 for everything. That's the total. I wrote it down so you guys can see it. That's the total.
So for a surgery that is $4,000, she spent $11,600 thereabouts. That's more than double the price of the initial surgery. Like, it's not even the surgery, it's the aftercare. All this money I'm hearing is quite a lot, and trust me, there are more expensive places too.
I've spent over $120,000 on my face, and I'm going to rate all the procedures I've done. Let's start from top to bottom. Hair transplant. It was done along the hairline to lower my hairline just a smidge, and I rate it 10 out of 10. Full face facial fat transfer. I did the forehead, temples, under eye, lateral, lower face and cheeks, and chin shadows. 100 out of 10. I love it so much. Fat transfer is the most natural, safest, and longest lasting way to augment the face. It also rejuvenates the skin, so you get to rewind the clock from inside out. Upper blepharoplasty, 10 out of 10, although I would caution to not make the crease so high and to avoid removing too much skin. That actually happened to me, and I had difficulties closing my eyes, which caused chronic dry ice. I had punctal plugs installed to produce more tears, but just beware to not remove too much skin. Rhinoplasty. You know I've done this 5 times. This is another 10 out of 10 for me. Although if I were to do it again, I would go to my current surgeon, who turned out to be much more skilled and qualified than my first surgeon. Lip lift. I love the results. However, the recovery was very, very difficult. I didn't expect a 2-year recovery from prolonged and extreme swelling. I had no idea that I got a deep plain lip lift, which has a much longer downtime than skin-only lip lift. However, a deep plain lip lift lasts much longer than a skin-only lip lift. I'm glad that I did it, but I would just mentally prepare for a longer downtime. Buccal fat removal. I had this done in my 20s. I had a much fuller, chubbier face, as we all do in our 20s. I thought I wanted that sculpted supermodel look. However, now that I'm in my 30s, I really regret doing that, because now I'm using fat transfer to restore the prematurely removed volume. I will rate this 4 out of 10. Submental lipo. This is also known as the double chin lipo. I had this done with my buccal fat removal. I will rate this a 6 out of 10. It was very effective. Now that I'm older, the lack of submental fat is making my submental area a little bit thinner and crepier. This is why I had nano fat transfer in this area. If I were to go back in time, I would probably do it, but I'd ask the surgeon to be very, very conservative with how much fat is removed. And finally, skin treatments such as lasers and radio frequency microneedling. 100 out of 10. Absolutely changed the game for my skin. I used to have very large pores, very acne prone, and deep ice pick scars. But now my skin is a 10 out of 10. I barely have to do anything crazy to maintain the results. Red light therapy 2 times a week, tretinoin 1 to 2 times a week, moisturize, and lots of sunscreen.
I mean, that sounded a lot. 5 rhinoplasties and so many others. Now, I like that she was very truthful. She mentioned about 2 surgeries she did that she regrets, and now that she's older, maybe she wouldn't have done it or asked the surgeon to be more conservative with the fat removed. And now, to prevent whatever look that gave her, she now has to inject fat into what she had already removed fat from. Anyway, guys, the money she said earlier was a lot. Anyway, let's keep going.
How much I spent for my BBL. I didn't just get a BBL, I got chin lipo, lipo 360, breast augmentation, tummy tuck with muscle repair, and then the BBL. And you guys already know I have my notebook with all my notes, so let's begin. So I paid 280,000 pesos for my surgery, which for me converted into $14,205 with 64 cents. For my surgery, it included the actual surgery, which was everything I told you that I got done, the faja, the overnight stay at the hospital, anesthesia, a whole jug of protein powder, lipofoam, BBL pillow, 10 lymphatic massages that were provided by the clinic, and other doctor's visits that I would need during my time there. I paid $20 for a COVID-19 test, $90 for anticoagulants, were like little shots that I had to get 10 days in a row. For my recovery home, I paid 16,800 pesos for 7 days, and that converted into $844. And that honestly included a lot for the 7 days. It was food, transportation, nurse care, 24 hours. For actual travel, I paid $800 for 4 plane tickets round trip for my family. Airbnb was $2,552 for 20 days, and that was because my family was going to be staying in the Airbnb while I was in the recovery home. The nurse that I got after I left the recovery home was $226 with 31 cents, that was for 7 days. All the medications and the medical supplies I bought were like $700. I did end up paying for extra 10 massages. That was $350, and then I ended up buying there in Guadalajara because my surgeon provided the fajas for me. I bought 2 extra fajas, so one was the extra small faja, and that was $142, and then I also bought the arm faja that's like a bra, the one you guys always see me wear. That one's $140. $42 as well. Now, this is a little update. I did decide to keep getting more massages, and I'm probably going to continue. But so far, I have paid an extra $350 for massages, and that has rounded up my total. My total that I gave you guys in the old video was $20,290 with 23 cents. My new total is $20,640 with 23 cents. And that is how much I paid for my surgery.
People definitely have money. People definitely have money.
Okay, so how much did my BBL cost? I got lipo 360 and a BBL. So it was your upper abdomen, your lower abdomen, your back, your upper back, your lower back. So that was the lipo 360, and then the fat transferred to your butt. So that came out to $5,000. Then you had to spend extra $500 for a cell saver. So basically they like filter your blood out, clean it, and put it back in you for your healing process. Then my round trip flight from Tampa to Miami was like $250, nothing crazy. And then I stayed at a recovery house. So Alexis Sky, if you guys are familiar, she had a recovery house. I don't know if she still does. It's called Blex Dollhouse. I stayed there. It was about $2,000. I had nurses 24/7. I had a driver, so they picked me up from surgery, took me to my pre-op, everything. They went and got my prescriptions. I highly recommend a recovery house.
Looks like the recovery house is almost the same price with like the actual surgery itself.
Ever heard the term, you're not ugly, you're just poor? Allow me to show you why that's true. So let's talk about some of the things that I've done, the overall cost of what this would be. I've lost 115 pounds. I had plastic surgery, which ended up costing me about $30K because I did all my surgeries at once. So anesthesia room fees and operating room fees were all included. To lose the last 30 pounds that I lost and to titrate off of that, Manjaro, or the active ingredient, cost about $800 a month. I do 1 syringe of lip filler yearly. I do full face toxin about every 4 months. I do PRF facial injections, and I do the Easy Gel twice a year. Radiofrequency microneedling to tighten my skin, to improve my overall texture, to help with my scarring. I do 3 times a year. Medical grade skincare, I don't use everything you can possibly buy, but I do have my favorites. That ends up costing about $500 a year. I do my own press-on nails. These cost me $10 per set. These are the Olive and June ones. They last me 1 to 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, unless I'm rock climbing a lot. I do my own hair color. For hair extensions, they end up costing me about $2K a year. I have 2 hand-tied rows, and then I have some keratin tips here in the front. Good shampoo and conditioner costs me about $200 a year. Makeup, for my spray tan, if I'm doing it at the salon, it's $10 a week. Sometimes I do it myself. I use the Bondi Sands one. Lash clusters, I use these ones from Amazon. I do them myself. End up costing about $200 to $300 a year. I do my own waxing everywhere, and I dye my own eyebrows. That costs me about $100 a year. For maintenance of my cheek filler, I do about 1 syringe per year. And then for Sculptra, I do about 2 vials per year. So the next time you're feeling bad about how you don't look naturally a certain way, please remember this is so much stuff. As a product of being in the industry I'm in, I haven't had to pay full price for everything that I've done, but it's still very expensive, even if you're a DIY girly like me.
DIY girl like her? I don't I don't mean to sound somehow, but I don't think she knows like the point of this whole DIY. She's spending a lot of money. And DIY is supposed to make you save a lot of money. But man, this is a lot. This is a lot.
I get asked all the time how much I paid for my BBL, so I'm going to be doing the breakdown of everything. So starting off with actual surgery cost, it was $6,900, and that included a BBL kit, which was the foams, the faja, and a BBL pillow. I believe you could get it for slightly cheaper on Amazon, so I would have declined it if I would have known. Now for post-op care, there's everything that you need after. I am going to post a screenshot here. That way you guys can screenshot it. That is everything that you need for your post-op care to make your post-op and recovery so much quicker and more comfortable. So in total for everything that you need to order off Amazon, I would say $200 to $300. And then as far as massages, they are super, super important. You have to get them. You have to get a minimum of 10 to 21, 24, around there. The more the better your results will be. And those I've seen range from 100 to 175. And it just depends where you go. I got them in Austin, Texas, and I got some here. And other things that you guys have to keep in mind that you guys have to budget for if it's not around your area is the flight, the hotel, and if someone is taking care of you, and food. So that's different for everyone, so I didn't want to include that in here, but just keep in mind to save some money for those things as well.
So her total comes up to $10,200.
So a lot of y'all want to know the cost of all of my BBL expensive, and this is the video for you, period. Okay, so BBL was $4,500. I called in on a great deal. I picked the best doctor for my body type. The best doctor. Okay, I caught a really good deal. My Airbnb was $1,100. My massages was $200, groceries $150, transportation as far as picking me up right after surgery was $100. Medicine was $200 because I know my insurance is going to cover some of my medicine, and I'm not sure it's going to be a full coverage. If not, I just put $200 to be on the safe side. And my flight, y'all, which was a round trip, literally a round trip for $179. So the total for everything was $6,429. Okay.
So far, her overall cost seems cheaper than the ones we've seen.
Let's talk how much I spent for my BBL. So straight to the point, I got my BBL done in 2021. That was during COVID, so keep that in mind. I spent $3,800, but my total cost of the trip was about $7,500. Okay. Now I paid everything cash because I went out of the country, and out of the country they only accept cash. They don't do credit. So, you know, if y'all decide to go out of the country, make sure you got some cash. It's probably different now, but if it's still the same thing, you bring cash. Okay, so my butt to me $2,300. My boobs, I got a breast reduction. It cost me $1,500. Okay. I stayed 14 days. I spent $1,400 for 14 days at the recovery house. My massages was only $25, and I spent about $350 because I think I got one massage per day, I think, or something like that. I had to get some medicine right after I got the surgery done, and that cost me like $30. No more than $30. I think it was like only $25. You have to pay for insurance when you get your body done. That was $300, but I did get a refund at the end of my trip, so that don't count. I had to pay to get around. That was no more than $200, I think. During that time, we had to get COVID tests. That was $25. I ended up spending about $1,200 on miscellaneous stuff. And miscellaneous, I had to pay a nurse to stay overnight with me just so I won't die. But yeah, I paid a nurse. Also just like, you know, DoorDash and food because I really didn't care for the food like that. So I got food. You know, I changed my flight a few times because I really wanted to go home so bad. So I kept changing my flight, and they kept telling me like, no girl, you need to stay. So that's where the extra $1,200 came from, basically. But yeah, that's my BBL price.
So, like she said, hers was done in 2021, so hence why it's below 10 grand, about 7 grand or something. But I mean, guys, if you ask me, it's still a lot.
Okay, so I'm so sorry. It took me a minute to get to me these questions. I woke up a little ronca today, so don't mind my voice. But how much did I pay? How much was the surgery, the blood transfusion? I got a few of you guys wanting the details, and I have the receipt. So I do want to give you guys that information just because, of course, these are things that we take into consideration when looking and when choosing. And just FYI, just because I went to Mexico doesn't necessarily mean it was cheaper. I actually think that I paid a little bit more than I would have if I would to have stayed in the States. But it's all preference. I chose my surgeon with, you know, certain things that I wanted him to check off, and he did, and I was willing to pay the price. So let me break it down for you guys. Okay, so, and then I also don't have my faja on right now because I am washing it. It got a little dirty, so, and I do have another faja. You're gonna spend a lot of money on fajas, but and they're not cheap, but I prefer this one. It's just I'm more comfortable and I like it better. So yeah, I'm taking a little break. Okay, so first things first, I got lipo 360 with body type, which is skin tightening. It's more an aggressive lipo. I added arm lipo and chin lipo. So the BBL itself was $7,500. That's with body type. Body type was an additional $1,500. So BBL lipo 360 $6,000. I added the body type for $1,500. So we're at $7,500. And then I added arm and chin. and that's an additional $600 for each. So I ended up paying the day of. I put a $1,000 deposit to book my appointment, and the day of my surgery, I paid $7,700. Okay. So we then have, I mentioned that I needed a blood transfusion. I did have quite a bit of fat. And so I think because I was in surgery for such a long time with my hemoglobin levels and all that good stuff, I did lose some blood. So they did recommend a blood transfusion because of the way I was feeling. They recommended 2 bags, but I only got 1 to start with, and that was $550 for 1 bag. And then I also purchased 6 massages that started 2 days after my surgery. So I got 6, one as soon as I was able to get them. I got 1 day every day until the day that I left. So that was 6 massages at $55 each, $330, and also had to buy my faja for after surgery for $50. So that in total was $380. And where I stayed for the recovery was, it was their own recovery home in their own building as well too. They're associated with the doctor. So that was a total, I stayed 6 nights, 7 days. And I also stayed there the night before. The night before surgery, instead of a hotel, since I was in the same building, I was like, I would just stay here. So that in total was $125 per night for recovery and $90 the day before surgery. So in total, that came out to be $840. So yeah, approximately. This is, of course, without my flight too. I bought my flight, which is I believe it was around $300 and something to fly to San Diego, and then we had a driver pick us up from the airport, and they crossed us over the border, which came with the packet that I got with the doctor. So I like that I didn't have to worry about transportation. They took me and brought me back to the airport. And then the only thing that I paid the driver was on our way back to the airport when I was ready to come back home, to not wait in the line of the border, because if you know, Mexican borders, they get so packed. I bought a, what is it called? Like the medical pass, so there's like a regular line and then there's a medical pass lane. And so we bought a pass for $70 so we could kind of just like zoom through the line and not wait, So I would say like 11,000 is what I spent over there, including all the expenses, the surgery, etc., all of that. And then of course, like coming back, you have to buy fajas, you have to buy foams and boards and all.
The reason why I decided to do this video was basically out of curiosity. Like, I was really curious because every time I hear people talk about BBL, tummy tuck, liposuction, or whatever plastic surgery it is they've got, and I always wondered how much did this cost eventually. And now hearing the prices, I'm baffled. I'm honestly baffled because it's a lot to me. These are the outcomes of free will that each and every one of us have. We keep talking, but at the end of the day, everybody is free to do what he or she wants to do, okay? But yes, guys, let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. And yes, beautiful people, I've come to the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. If you did, do not forget to give the video a fat thumbs up. If you are not subscribed, consider subscribing, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Bye!